Ladies and gentlemen, this junior sensation ended up being one of the top, not say underage draftees in the NHL of 1979, but one of the top long-term prospects that panned out for the Blackhawks and other pro teams, especially internationally. But this gentleman's time with the Peterborough Petes has to be recognized in his time as an announcer, because a hockey mind like his has to be celebrated, has to be explained, and has to be recognized, because not too many people outside the Chicago Blackhawk, universe, really talk about it much. He never showed up at Hockey Night in Canada, mostly an AHL announcer now, but again, a good legacy. So today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Blackhawks, one of their top picks of the 1979 NHL draft, Bill Gardner. Now, born in Toronto, he was a marquee player with Peterborough in their dynasty of the late 70s into the early 80s. Now, he won a Memorial Cup with Peterborough in 1979, put him at dynamite numbers in his draft year, 101 points, including 33 goals in 68 games. Now, he was Peterborough's third pick in the 1977 OMJHL Midget Draft, and he eventually found his way to Peterborough after playing most of the year with Seneca, a very respected junior B team in the Ontario League. Now, never won a Stanley Cup with the Chicago, but he was part of the Savardian era where Chicago was always challenging in the Western Conference, and eventually found his way to Hartford, where he became a fan favorite as well. Now, during the 77 season, he played for the Seneca Nationals amongst future all-time NHL points leader Wayne Gretzky. Now, that drew a lot of recognition for him, because a lot of people, when he stopped interviewing Gretzky, they were saying maybe we can talk to his teammates. Now, Gardner won the team's MVP Player Award that year, scoring 103 points as a defenseman. He later moved to center. Now, when he played with the Petes, the Memorial Cup was theirs in 79, and of course led to that top 50 draft. He started his NHL career with the Blackhawks in 1981. He would spend his entire career with Chicago, except for 26 games. He played for Hartford in 86. During his career, he put up decent numbers, 73 goals, 115 assists, with 188 points in 380 games. Now, Gardner's career as a broadcaster began in '89 as a studio analyst on Sport Channel Chicago's Blackhawk broadcasts. In '96, he eventually replaced Darryl Ray on Hartford Whalers television broadcasts when Ray left to become a radio analyst for the Dallas Stars, when it looked as if the Whalers might leave Hartford. He followed the Whalers in North Carolina when the team relocated next season, but left after one season to return to the Blackhawks as the team color analyst on television and radio. Now, Gardner also served as color commentator for the Blackhawks alongside Pat Foley until 2002, and since then, for the last 2 decades, has been a very respected AHL colorman for Chicago Wolves. And boys, he's got a great fan base. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, the year that he went back to Peterborough, statistically, in my opinion, was his best campaign. He had 43 goals and 63 assists for 106 points. Now, he made it to the Memorial Cup again that year, not as successful, but still, a dynamite campaign. Now, 81, he became a hometown hero in New Brunswick, playing 48 games. The New Brunswick Hawks was a Chicago-Toronto combination affiliate. He had 48 points in 48 games, including 19 goals, with 15 points in the playoffs. He broke in with the Savardian Blackhawks in '82 with 23 points in 69 games, including 8 goals. '83, 40 points in 77 games, only one playoff goal in 13 postseason contests. But by '84, he had his career year, probably one of the better players Chicago had on both sides of the ice that campaign. 48 points in 79 games, including 27 goals. '85, another campaign with Chicago, 17 goals in the regular season and 4 points in the playoffs. '86, he found himself out of Chicago playing for Hartford, and that year his goal production unfortunately went way down. He only had 4 goals and 64 games that year. 87, he only played 8 games with Hartford and spent most of the campaign with the Binghamton Whalers of the AHL, where he puts up 61 points and had 12 points in the AHL postseason. 88, he found himself back with Chicago for 2 games, scoring 1 goal, but played majority of the year in the IHL with a very popular Saginaw Hawks. We had 67 points in 54 games. Now, 89, back with the Hawks. He had 72 points in 74 games as one of their top skaters. But from then on, he sought bigger times in Europe. Played in Austria in 90 and 91. Played with AC Lugano in 91 as well for 2 games. Back to Austria in 92 with EC Graz. 93, he spent time in the German and Austrian league with Innsbrucker EV and EV Landshut, getting 21 goals. In 38 points in 59 games. Now, he also was a big part of Team Canada's World Junior squad in 1980 with 4 assists in 5 games. But what was interesting about Bill, he could play both sides of the ice. He had played defense for quite some time. Not the biggest center in the world, 5'10", 180, and that really showed in some of the tough games against Edmonton, and we'll get into that in a second. Now, Andrew Lippert, our good of the channel, had mentioned that Yaroslav Pozar, to his memory, caused a massive injury in a Campbell Cup playoff between the Oilers and the Blackhawks. I can't confirm that, but I'm going with what Andrew tells me, and we're going to talk a little bit about his situation with the Blackhawks, how it was a very interesting relationship. Now, when he served as Hartford's TV color commentator, it was during the 86 playoffs. He did not play in the postseason that year due to a coach's decision, which freed him up for broadcast work. Now, of course, as you know, that year, Hartford literally came within minutes of winning the Stanley Cup. He would have defeated Montreal in that 7-game series. They probably would have won the Cup, but that's neither here nor there. So he was that close to a Stanley Cup naming, as we say. Now, he was named Chicago TV analyst prior to the 94 season, stayed there until 96. Then he was named Hartford's TV color commentator prior to 97. Then relocated to Carolina prior to the 98 season and remained there for the 98 campaign. Now, Chicago TV again between the 99 season and September 2002. Now, ironically, he held a distinction with Peter Stastny in the 84 campaign as he tied the great Czech for NHL game-tying goals with 4 in that campaign. Now, he missed part of the 85 season with a pinched nerve in the neck, injury suffered in February 85. Now, again, as Andrew mentioned, he missed the remainder of the 85 playoffs with a knee injury suffered during Game 3 of Chicago's Campbell Conference Finals series versus Edmonton on May 9, 85, and the injury required surgery. Again, according to Andrew, I don't have the tape, but I go what he says. Yaroslav Pozar, who was one of the tougher Czechs on the ice, allegedly contributed to the injury. Now, eventually released by Hartford in June of 87, and also was in training camp for Chicago in 87. Number 27, he never wore the regular season for Chicago. Now, was 5th place for Team Canada at the World Juniors in 1980. Kind of a deception because that 80 team had some good good Canadian junior prospects. Now, at the Memorial Cup in 1980 was the first All-Star team selection, and in Austria for Graz, he led the team in league in points in 91 and 92 with 83 and 87, and the assist leader in 91 for Graz with 48 and 74 and 92 again for Graz. Now, how he left Chicago was kind of unique here. He was traded to Hartford in exchange for future considerations, what eventually became a 1987 third-round pick, Mike Desjardins. Now, over a year later, Chicago got Gardner back when it signed him as an unrestricted free agent in August 87, because a lot of people felt his experience could help the NHL side or could help the minor leagues. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about some of Bill's background as a color analyst. Now, again, 20 years with the Wolves, to my memory, is the longest-serving color analyst for an AHL team of the modern era. Now, the idea, he knows a lot about the AHL because being in the early years of New Brunswick, playing at Binghamton, a very popular franchise, Binghamton is big in the AHL, and he can talk about the NHL prospects going down, coming up, the young prospects that need development. And he's a completely honest person. He's always been well respected for his positive views on the AHL. Now, with the Chicago Wolves, as we know, it's the closest thing you're going to get the AHL probably to a pure NHL-style attitude by the fans. The Chicago Wolves fans are very dedicated. They take their team very seriously, and Bill does that. But you got to understand this, ladies and gentlemen. He's been giving back to hockey since the Gretzky years for a half a century. My God, the stories he could tell. Playing with Wayne Gretzky and you get MVP over him. That's pretty cool. So, ladies and a very, very tall tale to tell. Where playing with Gretzky, playing with Denny Savard, Alex Secord, all the top players, Hartford, all the great players they had in that famous 86 campaign, which I still think they would have won the cup, he would have bet Montreal. I'm standing by that. And Andrew Lippert, again, good supporter of the channel. Andrew always touches my brain and says, Jeffrey, maybe you should talk a little bit about this player, but indirectly. It wasn't a request by Andrew, but he mentioned it. He knows I'm a big fan of the color commentator, former players that go into non-play-by-play, Greg Millen and Harry Neal and Kelly Rudy, all the top players. So again, the Denny Savardian or the Savardian era, a lot of great players like Bill, and we're going to talk more about those in the next couple of months because it's getting to be that anniversary. And you know what it is? 40 years since Chicago should have won a Stanley Cup with the Denny Savard-led Blackhawks. Thanks for listening. Bye.